Now, if you were in the market for a classic-looking bike, chances are the name Kawasaki would not even be anywhere near the top part of your list. Well, guess what? In Malaysia, Kawasaki not only sells a classic-looking bike, but definitely one that, in my opinion, is amongst the best-looking bikes in this subcategory. Introducing the Kawasaki W800, and we are going to see exactly how classic is this classic-looking bike in terms of the way it rides and also the way you appreciate it. There's absolutely no denying that the designers only had one era in mind when designing this bike, and that is the swinging 60s. How do you know this? Take one look at the back and you immediately know. From the beefy wire wheels to the design of the tank to the pea-shooter exhaust to the fairing, all this is just to remind you that the 60s were indeed swinging. And whilst it looks great, well, what about the attention to detail? For example, this very retro-looking metal plate number is, of course, thanks to the guys from Kawasaki. That's something that you'll have to do yourself. But the bike itself comes with 19-inch wheels up front and 18 at the back. And the spokes really do look very beefy. That's one part. And then as you look at the fairing is it sort of like reminds you of the old Ducati bikes. And look at the clock and you know that, hey, it's very straightforward. Even the typeface that was chosen for the W and the logo for this bike is just, it has a very quintessential classic look to it. Very British classic look to it. The design of the engine, needless to say, the parallel twin, which is air-cooled, obviously, just looks the part. And so does the pea-shooter exhaust. Now, the only thing is the pea-shooter exhaust is a little bit on the muted side, and if it was up to me, I'd wish that it was slightly louder. I mean, like, you know, check this out. It just pitter-patter, pitter-patter. You really don't get, you know, a lot of, you know, macho-ness from the exhaust, but yeah, really, if only the exhaust is slightly louder, but that's, of course, something that you can do yourself. And finally, the other thing that really reminds you that this is a bike from the heyday is the use of the chrome. There's just so much chrome on the tail lamps, on the front indicator stalks. The entire thing, the package is just 60s. But more importantly, it is the way or the decisions that has been made for this bike. The color scheme, the gold on black, even the pinstriping, it is just done so beautifully. Really, guys, I mean, if you were just to have the W800 logo on it without the Kawasaki nameplate, you'd probably be thinking that this was something else, like a BSA or something like that. But no, this is a Japanese classic, and it is a Kawasaki. So we know that it looks the business. It is really good looking, but the question is, how does it ride? We're going to ride this baby now. We are. I need to go and get my helmet. Well, you know what? Just riding through the city in this city slicker, life doesn't get much better than this. Especially with the fact that every time I stop, every time I ride slow like this, all these people, all of them are looking at me because, hey, I'm on a very, very cool bike. And that's exactly what this bike is all about. It's about being really cool. No denying about that. But it also has to be a little bit about the satisfaction that you get from riding it because of the way it handles and performance and all that. So let's strip it down to the bare basics. The W800 comes with a 773cc air-cooled parallel twin lump that is archaic. No, it's not archaic. It's just that it's actually the same engine as the bike that it replaced, and that engine is decades old. It's actually an old architecture, but it's been renewed with bigger bore and all that. So it has been renewed, but nonetheless, it's still essentially old tech, and you can definitely feel it. It's smooth all right, and you do get a lot of power right down below from 2000 RPM. This bike does go all the way up to 9000 RPM, and it redlines at 7000 RPM. The controls are a little bit heavy. The handling of the bike is not very, it's not very sporty lah, you know. It is a little bit on the heavy side. It takes a little bit of effort for you to upright the bike once you've leaned in. But the bike does ride a little bit tall, so you do get pretty good lean-in angles. Having said that, you are a little bit upright with this bike. Maybe not as upright as, say, riding a supermoto or something like that, but nonetheless, it is a little bit upright. And so, you know, the dynamics and the dimensions that you're creating with this bike is just not so very sporty lah. But yet again, I digress. Not being sporty, but nonetheless, you get to do some pretty sporty stuff. And this is thanks to the whole setup of the bike, which is a little bit soft. So it gives you this sensation that you are actually doing something a little bit more thrilling than what you really are. The bike is a little bit on the tall side. If you're short, then it might be a little bit difficult for you. But I'm 5'11" and I can put my foot down. Maybe not flat on both feet, but straight up flat. You also want to talk a little bit about the vibration, because the engine is smooth, right? But being a parallel twin, you do get a little bit of vibration when you go up to, say, about 3000, 4000 RPM. You do get a little bit of vibration. So if you're doing long distances, you might get a little bit tired on the wrist, because it's the wrist that's going to be absorbing a lot of the vibration. Though I'm not entirely sure if that is particularly this bike or the other bike, or the W800 in general, because from the reviews that I've read, everybody seems to be saying that this is a very smooth bike. Now, this is a personal opinion, right? The W800 might not be as engaging a ride as compared to the competitors, but in the looks department, this is definitely going to pose as a threat for any bike out there who takes classic styling as its main selling point, because the looks-wise, this is one heck of a handsome bike.